McCarthy he didn't win this 12th round. I'm going to go ahead and call it the next round is done. And here's why. Mary Miller, Illinois, just switched. Anna Paulina Luna cited good faith that McCarthy would uphold the deal. She switched. I anticipate Roy is going to vote for McCarthy. Roy and Perry typically mirror each other and vote. And so that's the latest. So that's how this is all going. Very interesting. And so all the media and everybody else is going to focus on, it's 12 rounds. That's the latest though. And before we went to break, there were 6 that had flipped. Bishop, Brachine, Cloud, Clyde, Donalds. And now and Paul Gosar it was a placeholder. He didn't answer on the first roll call, so he can vote at the end. Anna Paulina Luna went McCarthy. Mary Miller McCarthy. Norman McCarthy. That's 8 vote flips so far. So that's, and remember, that is, I mean, I think he's got it after the next round. And so that'll be also the Tennessee freshman, Andrew Ogles, placeholder, no answer on first roll. He can vote on the end. A couple others. So Chip Roy just voted McCarthy. It's done. It's done. That's it. It's going to be done. That means Chip Roy will probably chair Rules Committee. So, I love calling out. Like, this is like, it's like Super Bowl, man. I'm such a dork. So that's it. That is it. That's that's huge.
I have a question.
Yes.
Is his threshold still 217?
I think because Ken Buck back yet? Because
I don't think so.
Ken Buck left last night because of a health issue. And usually, and that lowered the threshold. Let me modify that. Last evening, that lowered it to 217, I believe. And that I mean,
it looks
that's
like he'll come right in at 217 then.
Yeah, I'm watching. I'm looking at this right now. So in case you're just joining us, the race for speaker is pretty much over. Even if they have to do one more round, they flipped 11, 12 votes, I think. And Chip Roy just changed his vote. Byron Donalds, Anna Paulina Luna, Bishop, Perry, Norman, Miller from Illinois, Mary Miller flipped, voted for McCarthy. So that tells me they got what they. Just know that I've talked to so many people back channel, and I have to assure them that I'm not going to name call in order to get information that I can share with you, my listeners, because I feel like not enough people are being transparent. So he didn't do it in the 12th round, but 13th he will, because when you had Perry and Roy flip and Donalds, that's gonna do it. So I think one more round. I'd be shocked if it didn't get all wrapped up in the 13th. But they had 11, 12 vote flips. So when I was talking to people, there are, of the holdouts or the people who were objecting, there were some of the people who were objecting who had legitimate objections. I don't disagree with the concerns made about waiving rules. I think that's significant. If you can make concessions and then have rules waived, that's a significant thing. And I think that Chip Roy was right. He mentioned that when he was on the show earlier this week. You can find that interview up on YouTube, on Facebook. That's significant. And he wanted to make sure, and others wanted to make sure, that there were protections to prevent things being waived. I'm going to throw out the 72-hour for reading legislation as an example, although from my understanding, and when McCarthy was on the show weeks ago, that's one of the things that he had said he would like to change, or maintain rather. They want to have the 72-hour rule. But using it as an example, that could be waived by the Rules Committee. What people are fighting on the phone. So they wanted to make sure things like that couldn't happen. So that's a legitimate thing. However, I've spoken to others who could not actually articulate to me what the holdout was, why they still oppose. I had a couple of people say, well, it's a matter of trust. I'm like, well, isn't that kind of this? issue with voters and all politicians? So I'm just kind of wondering here. Like so some of them legitimately they had actual concerns and they were trying to rectify that. Some of them did. I gotta be honest, some of them didn't. Some of them I thought that that the lack of, they wanted to keep it a mystery. I don't know what to think. I don't want to cast aspersions onto their motives, but I'm like, when you're not transparent, that invites that. So it looks as though, and I said to watch Roy, so I told you yesterday that I would imagine he would chair that committee. So it looks like everything that the House Freedom Caucus and the ones who were seriously doing the negotiations, it sounds like they got everything that they wanted. Now, round 13, I look for McCarthy I look for this to be wrapped. It definitely will not go past today. But he's got to bring the party together. Because you started off the first week in a new session on this foot. So he's got to bring the party together, and he's got to do some serious pushing and to make sure that everybody's brought back on the same plane. Because there's a lot of stuff that needs to get done. First and foremost, you're going to have to deal with the Senate because you don't have a majority in the Senate. One of the first things they want to do is stop the funding for the 87,000 IRS agents. Now, they can throw a wrench in that. The Senate's not going to approve anything, but the House is the power of the purse. So they're going to have to throw a wrench in that somehow. And that's one of the things that they wanted to do. They also are going to have oversight on intel and all that. So, and I know Jim Jordan is chomping at the bit. He is a bulldog. And House Judiciary Committee, that's a powerful position. So it looks like y'all are going to, I love what Steve said. Steve goes, it's almost like it's Friday. It's like people they're wanting to go home now.